We sincerely apologize for coming to you a little bit behind schedule. Thank you for joining us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Today on the program, INEC says suspended Adamawa rec ignored summons. Location still unknown. Wants police to declare him wanted. Opposition rep-select vow to contest House leadership as 5 former governors join Senate presidency. Ekwa laments killings in Benue. Kaduna and Plateau State as bandits in Kaduna killed 214, kidnapped 746 in 3 months. Today on the program, I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Paul Dada. Welcome to the program, gentlemen. Pikio, support. Good to see you again. Yeah. If you're ready, Journalist Hangout starts now. Thank you for joining us. The 2023 election may have come and gone, but it seems some candidates are having a hard time accepting that they lost, forgetting that democracy is like a game of musical chairs. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but in the end, you have to accept the results and gracefully step aside. Sultan of Sokoto and President General, Nigeria's Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Mohammed Said Abubakar III, has urged Peter Obi and other politicians seeking redress in court to accept the outcomes of the 2023 elections in good faith. Recall that Peter Obi had challenged INEC's declaration of Bola Tinubu of All Progressives Congress APC as the winner of the 2023 presidential election. Gentlemen, I'm happy this admonition is coming at this time because just a few days ago we saw one of the presidential candidates on one hand asking that his followers be calm and steadfast in this journey, but on the other hand saying that if his opponents come on the land, on the sea, and whatever, that he will give it back to them same way. Pikio.
I think some of the politicians are just hitting up the polity for their own selfish reasons. It's clear that a winner has emerged in the presidential election. Winners emerged in the National Assembly elections, and winners emerged in the governorship as well as the House of Assembly elections. Somebody has to win. And the system is not perfect. Even in the U.S., that is seen as the father of democracy, the system is not perfect. In India, the biggest democracy in the world, the system is not perfect. But somehow, if elections are held in India today, despite its big population, that you can't even compare to our population, you can't compare India to us, both in landmass and population. We are very small compared to India. But if you do an election today, everyone will agree that the winner has emerged. Some of the things that we bother ourselves about, they will not bother themselves about it. The system is both electronic and manual in India, yet it will deliver victory to the person that the masses or the generality of the people want to see as their prime minister. We must learn to accept our fate. I see politicians, when they've lost the election, a good number of them will still go to court believing that somehow the court will be able to give victory to somebody who did not deserve to win. So it's not even the presidential election alone. Just watch out. You see tons of cases that our courts need to hear about the House of Assembly election, National Assembly. All kinds of cases will come up because somebody will want to try his luck. But in this season, we've had a situation in which somebody who came third is posturing as the person who won the election. And the the level of their decibels, you can't even compare to the person who came second. They are noisier than the person who came second. I've never seen a thing like that. And I've seen multi-party democracy in our country, multi-party elections in our country. In fact, in 1979, 5 major parties did very well in the election. The election was closer than this one in terms of the way they shared the votes. But we didn't see anything like this. Maybe because at that time there was no social media. Social media affords people the opportunity to abuse age mates of their parents, people that they are not good enough to even lace their boots. That's what social media permits. It allows somebody who normally, if he sees you on the streets, will put his head down. Social media allows that person to spit in your face on social media. But if he sees you by the roadside, he will put his head down. I've seen situations like that. People who have abused me. Yes. And then when we see one another at a public event, they put their heads down. Yes, even here, I've seen someone who used to come here to do programs. He went on Facebook and was abusing me. But when he saw me here, he put his head down. He could not look me in the face. You know, cyber cowards abusing age mates of their parents just because of politics, because of religion. And we just want the hitting of the polity to cease. Because that is what bothers me. I'm happy that the Sultan has given this admonition, but I know that they will not listen. Even after the election, the winner of the election has been decided by the judiciary, we will still see some people who will be banging their heads against the wall and saying, no, we said it that there will be no justice. You didn't win the election. You didn't win the election. Somebody has won the election. I like to listen to arguments from those who are more knowledgeable than me in many areas. And one of such persons was the former INEC chairman, Jega, who said, if people want to rig, they will target the big states where the votes are. They won't go for the smallest states. What did we see? APC lost Kaduna, APC lost Katsina, APC lost Kano, APC lost Lagos. Lagos has the highest number of registered voters in our country, followed by Kano. All of those big states, APC lost them. The only reason Ashwaju won the election is because he was competitive all along. Even where he lost, he made sure that he came second. And in most cases, the margin was not wide. You look at Katsina, less than 10,000. You know? Right. So this is the thing. This won't be the last election that we'll have in our country. But the attitude of refusing to accept defeat, even when you are beating blue-black, it has to stop. We have to grow up. We have to show maturity. That is where we are different to other countries. That maturity, that political maturity, a lot of our politicians don't have it. Some people would rather wish that their opponent died so that they can take his place. They don't mind. They don't mind.
All right. So, Paul Dada, how important is this message for you?
Well, it's a very good one, but the reality is that not everyone will be a gentleman like former President Goodluck Jonathan, who congratulated the obvious winner, even when the results had not been formally declared. Well, while I concede that it is the right of those who feel aggrieved to approach the courts, I think that if I were in a position to advise, especially the candidate of the Labour Party, I would tell him that he should concentrate on building a formidable opposition. It was an opportunity that the PDP lost, as APC holds sway. You would remember, if you recall, that the APC was a serious opposition to PDP. If you remember, I can't forget the way Lai Mohammed used to drop press releases. You remember?
Yes, sir.
On a day you will read a press release was issued in Ilorin. The next time you read it was issued in Lagos. That was Lai Mohammed. If you remember when Lai Mohammed was going to undergo screening at the Senate, he was specially acknowledged. In fact, one of them said, "We will just drop a propaganda here now," and
that's a problem.
Exactly, to show you how formidable it was. It was a formidable mouthpiece of the opposition. PDP's house was mostly in disarray. Now, Labour Party, a party that it's been existing, but the obedient movement got organized like 1 year ago and was able to make this feat. Imagine what it could pull if it does its work very well from now in the next 4 years. But you don't just, you go to the court and probably you even lose, and then you go sit down, and then maybe when is the next election? 2026, you wake up, and then you just think that you can displace the ruling party. It doesn't work that way. Well, he's not going to eat this advice, definitely. He will. I am sure that even if in his mind, it feels like, dropping it, even the fear of his supporters will not let him. And one more thing I want to say here is that, I'm so much uncomfortable with people who think that the judiciary must think like them. Like BKO said, by the time, of course, the tribunal, the Presidential Election Tribunal will make a ruling. If it doesn't favor any of the parties, they will definitely approach the Supreme Court. Now, to many of these obedience, if the Supreme Court decides that their idol or their hero has no case, you will see many of them abusing the Supreme Court, that they've compromised. Justice must be the way they define it. This tunnel reasoning. That if someone reasons outside their thinking, outside the cage that they have, the narrow cage they have constructed, the person is not right. The person doesn't love Nigeria. As far as they are concerned, if you are not supporting Obi, if you don't believe in Obi, even if you stay neutral. For example, some of us have not...
No, some people have been abused for staying neutral.
Yes, even me. On Facebook, you will never hear me say, I'm supporting this person, supporting that person. But sometimes I just do the analysis the way I see it. Now, what I expect you to do is come disagree with me on why you think I am wrong. But the next thing, you are an enemy of Nigeria. You are a Baptist. You are a closet, all sort of... You see, you can't build Nigeria. For how long are we going to continue like that? And then you have, whether you like it or not, a president-elect has been declared by a body that is legally empowered to do that. There's no other body in this country that can do that. And some people will say, no, it's president-elect. I'm sure you've heard that. No, it's not president-elect. Whether you like it or not, if you like, go and hug a transformer. Or go and jump in the lake. No,
don't even go there.
Okay, what I'm trying to say... Don't
begin to talk like that.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that he is the president-elect. You may not like it. In fact, even if we know that even if the Supreme Court does not agree with, does not meet your expectation, maybe you still disagree with the ruling or a judgment of the Supreme Court, they say leave it in the court of God. Abi? Now, if in your heart you are convinced that Supreme Court is wrong, you cannot begin to make trouble, you cannot begin to come up with funny rhetorics. So...
Okay, well, let me have your final take on this quickly before we move on to other issues.
No, as I said, I think at this time, I can understand why the Sultan spoke in that manner. He's a father figure. He knows that, look, somebody must win an election. But after an election, we must remain as one people. We must remain as one country. And that is what he's preaching. We need to come together as one people and make peace. At the end of the day, we are all Nigerians. So that is the point that he's making. Let's embrace peace, and what better time than to preach peace than on the occasion of the termination of the Muslim holy month, because that's all. The holy month preaches not just abstinence from sin, but love for one another. So the Sultan was right on the money by urging aggrieved persons to sheathe their sword. An opportunity will come again. You know, you saw the man in Kano, Kwankwaso. He was patient. He didn't bring the roof down. He didn't abuse anybody. He lost. You know, today is more popular than he was in 2019. Absolutely. Far more popular. His party alone took 18 House of Rep seats from Kano. That's unprecedented. So,
all right. Recently, the message of peace and progress was not lost in the course of breaking this year's Ramadan fast, as the Nasir Latif Fathi Society sat down with media professionals and other stakeholders for a meaningful iftar. The event was a clear demonstration of how good food can bring people together and how powerful words can inspire change. Details in this report.
The 2023 election has come and gone, but the reverberations still remain. While many applaud the election due to what they say is the impact of a bimodal voter accreditation system, others say the election is nothing to write home about. The election also showed some of the major fault lines in the nation's fabric, with the issue of religion coming to the fore prominently, more than any time in Nigeria's recent history. Calls have been made for all Nigerians to come together to gild these fault lines. Many have heeded to the call to bring all Nigerians together once again for the onerous task of nation building.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The Nasrullah Fathi Society, a leading Islamic organization, put together this symposium and iftar program to herald the end of Ramadan with the theme, the role of Muslims in the propagation of religious harmony, peace and national development. On hand to speak on this topic is Dr. Mustafa Ibrahim, resident chief imam of University of Lagos. Dr. Ibrahim, who enjoined Muslims to continue to live by the tenets of the religion, disclosed that this is the surest pathway to stopping religious intolerance and putting Nigeria on the road to a peaceful and prosperous nation.
You enjoy what is right and forbid what is wrong and believe in Allah. The greatest injustice that a man will do is to disbelieve in his creator. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you are the best, He told you why you are the best. And unless and until we maintain the reasons behind you are the best, there is no way by which we will be the best.
He urged all Muslims to continue to support all peace-building efforts across the country, as only a peaceful nation can experience sustained and lasting development.
If we are truly interested in attaining religious harmony and peace better and easier than we have today, then Islamic societies need to facilitate the methodical teaching and preaching of the Quranic aims of human existence.
He also urged all Muslims to be steadfast in the practice of Islamic monotheism, adding that they should not forget the lesson of Ramadan.
All right, gentlemen. Another admonition, but this time for religious tolerance, especially with what we witness. Yes. Order.
Yeah, every religious leader, every community leader, every traditional ruler should be preaching peace and progress. We can't keep bringing out rhetorics that can inflame the country. I'm sure majority of us do not have dual citizenship. You know, even if you can travel easily, it can never be like home. It can't be like this country. This is the only country most of us have. And there is a lot of things that are positive about this country. We have cultures, diverse cultures. A lot of us have even intermarried with other tribes. My wife is not Yoruba, for example. My wife is from the South. There are people that are married, there are Southwestern and are married to Northerners. There are people that are married to Southeasterners. So why can't we just live in peace? So men like this, like the NASFAT man that spoke now, he said the right thing. And that is what we should also be preaching from the pulpits. We know that there are men, pastors, who are preaching peace. But we also know those who are shooting bullets, from their pulpits. So everybody should be preaching peace. And why religious leaders need to even pay more attention to preaching peace is because a lot of Nigerians are very religious. They listen more to their religious leaders than their spouses or their parents or anybody else. There is a power, there's an influence that religious leaders hold over the people. And if they are preaching peace, election has come and gone, accept it the way it is. You cannot always, life does not always give you what you want. That's the truth. I don't think there's anybody on earth who has always had what he wants. So if you can't get what you want, what do? You accept what has come to you, and then you live in peace. And that's the way it should be.
All right, Bikio. So this is not the first time we're talking about peace, religious tolerance, unity, and all of that. But it worries me that every election cycle, our politicians would still come, use our diversity to further divide us, and you see Nigerians falling for it.
Yes, because, a lot of these leaders can do no wrong before their supporters. Whatever the leader says, they accept it, even when they know it's wrong. So if a leader chooses to be irresponsible and is preaching disunity, a lot of people will go by his preachment. It's the same thing with clerics. Clerics are so influential that people take them like little gods. God with a small letter G in our country. And that's why governments like to court these religious leaders, because they have a good grip on their people. People simply listen to them. In fact, if they tell them, don't put on your TV and all that, don't listen to news, many people will refuse to listen to news. We've seen a cleric who told people to get outside the church auditorium and go and be eating grass. And they turned themselves to herbivores. They started eating grass right in the church premises. So that's why we need to target power people, big politicians, big clerics, get them to preach peace in our country, get them to see why we need to stay together. A lot of them are old people, they have very few more years or days left, but they are so incorrigible that they still stick to their divisive rhetorics and all that. So, but we cannot give up. We just have to keep, those of us who believe in our country, who believe in the indivisible character of our country, have to keep preaching that, look, we are better together. We are better as one people, one country. Desmond Tutu looked at South Africa and described South Africa as the rainbow people of God, because they usually call South Africa the rainbow nation. But he called South Africa the rainbow people of God, meaning that they are God's people and they must see themselves as people that God puts in that country. That is the message that Tutu conveyed by calling South Africa the rainbow people of God. That means it was not by their design that they found themselves there. It was God's design to put them in South Africa. And I believe too that it's God's design to put us in Nigeria where we found ourselves. And we have to continue to preach peace, preach unity, preach religious tolerance and all that. And that way, real progress will happen, because you can't make progress happen when you are pulling in different directions. We don't love one another. We don't want to work together. Everybody focuses on the task of nation building. Definitely, progress will happen. So I'm grateful to the NASFAT leadership for the IFTA that they organized for media managers and for even bringing the resident imam, a very knowledgeable person at that, from the University of Lagos, who preached to us on the day. And I was part of those who enjoyed the sumptuous meal that came with the preaching.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now let's move on. It's always great to see our brave men and women in uniform have a comfortable and secure place to call home. So it was all smiles on faces as Inspector General of Police IGP Usman Alkali Baba unveiled 88 residential blocks for police officers at Bombay Barracks in Kano. The IGP urged the beneficiaries to reciprocate the gesture by discharging their job effectively and efficiently. Gentlemen, accommodation has always been a major challenge for our police officers. And it's often said that when these men and women have decent houses to live, it gets them motivated.
Yes, I'm happy this IG has been going around providing infrastructure for his people. Apart from what we've seen in Bombay, Kano, which is where you have the police headquarters and some barracks, you know, dirty looking and old. Now it's delivered good, modern infrastructure for these policemen in Kano. Definitely, it has a way of motivating the policeman to give his best. You need to provide them with modern barracks where they can raise their children and raise them properly. Some of them live amongst the people, and for this reason, even their security is endangered, especially when they are handling some very delicate cases. You will recall that the government decided to spend a lot of money to build barracks for NDLA staff because drug barons were killing some of the operatives. It's just that a lot of these things don't get reported in the papers. NDLA is losing some of his testers, some of his best operatives to drug barons. It's not just easy to smash a drug syndicate. They will come for you. And where they are living in the midst of the rest of us, they become vulnerable. So government has decided to build barracks for the NDLA, and I'm very happy about that. These barracks that they are building for the police will also go a long way to ginger them and make them more focused and more committed to their job. I could recall that this same IG built some built some barracks in Borno State. Very beautiful. I saw the pictures, and he's going around like that, doing the same thing. The former chief of air staff, Sadiq Baba Abubakar, was reputed for the infrastructure that he delivered across Air Force formations in the country. The former chief of army staff, Tuburate, also did that. Even built a university for the army in Biu, as well as new officers' mess, new barracks, modern barracks, and the rest. So we need them, and I'm happy that this IG has taken the step to do that.
All right, Paul Dada.
Yes, we should commend the IGP for doing what he is doing, and what he has done here it's a very good thing, because we all know that the conditions under which police officers live and work could affect their efficiency, could also affect their behavior. You know, many times we condemn police officers and the rank and file for their for bad behavior and all of that. But sometimes factors responsible, some of these factors could be responsible, like living in squalid conditions, you know, being poorly kitted, not having equipment to work. There's still much to do. There's actually still much to do. There are still many police formations that are, you know, there are so many barracks, which buildings are in very bad shape. Of course, the one of Songo, Ibadan is trending now. And, but I think that it is something that should continue. Not only that, the police authorities in each state should interface more with civilian organizations. Like this one now was done through private-public partnership. Because you can't get all the funds, you know, alone. You have to work with the private sectors. So yes, it's a welcome development, and it should continue.
All right, BQ. Now, just before we move on, many also have talked about, you know, sustainability and maintenance of these structures.
Yes, that's why, you see, if I have my way, even some of the training facilities for the police, I will demolish them and build new ones. You cannot train proper policemen in some of these training facilities without windows and all that. In fact, a senior police officer told me that he was asked to go and conduct examination for some policemen, and when he got there, that even the examination hall had no windows. And because of lack of accommodation and all that, some of them actually slept in that windowless building. So these are some of the unbearable conditions under which policemen are expected to do their work. And then when they get onto the road, you're actually dealing with somebody whose behavior is close to that of a beast. Because people who shoot civilians at the slightest provocation. People who slap civilians, disgrace them in the presence of their children, like the policeman who was demoted recently, who beat up a man, the Kogi-born policeman. I mean, such things shouldn't be happening, but a well-motivated police force with their welfare sufficiently taken care of is most likely to be more humane in the way it deals with the civil populace. I'm not saying that it's a guarantee for good behavior. We still see people who are properly looked after, who still go on to steal and all that. Greed is not determined by solvency alone. Sometimes you have so much solvency and you are still greedy. You still want to steal. We've seen even people belong to royalty going inside a department store, a supermarket to steal things that they can easily afford. So, but I'm saying that with better welfare for policemen, better working condition, better working environment, a good number of them, and training and retraining, a good number of them won't be behaving the way we see some of them behave, take people's lives just cheaply as they do. So let the investment in infrastructure in our police formations continue, whether through build, operate and transfer, whether through funds available to the force, or through encouragement of private individuals to help them, or even people from the National Assembly. When you go to Ojodu now, you see the police station that Faleke has built to replace the one that was burnt. What is standing there now is a story building, whereas what they burnt was not actually a story building. So, and Lagos State government, I know they made a promise to that they are going to rebuild all the burnt police stations and make them modern. When we are talking about making them modern, it means that there will be a resident clinic so that if someone falls sick among the policemen, they can treat them there and all that. So we need to take better care of our policemen. We abuse them here when they misbehave, but when they deserve something, we should be among the first to say, yes, you need to do this for the police.
Fantastic. Thank you, BQ. Looks like the people of Makurdi and its environs in Benue State have a new obsession, and it's not for the latest social media craze of viral dance challenge. No, it's for something much more old school, a local brew called Burukutu, or BKT for short. For now, the consumption of the brew was associated with the poor and illiterate on the streets, but that has changed. Well, some say it's the unique flavor and health benefits that has everyone hooked. Others say it's the affordability ahead of the beer that is driving the craze. Whatever the reason, one thing is sure, the traffic to beer sports on the streets of Makurdi has drastically reduced, with many now sipping on a god of this liquid gold called Burukutu. Gentlemen, you know, shamefully, actually, I had always thought that Burukutu is the local name for beer, until I read up and I discovered that it's an alcoholic beverage, or rather, alcoholic beverage brewed from the grains of Guinea corn and millet with a lot of health benefits. BQ.
Yes.
Have you had Burukutu before?
No, I don't think so.
No, if you've lived in the north, you will not speak in this manner. I know that even in Lagos, there are still places where they consume it. It may not be in abundance here, but there are still people consume it even here in Lagos, and we have a cameraman in TVC from Ekiti State who is also who also consumes Burukutu liberally. I don't want to mention his name so that they don't block me as I'm coming out of this studio. But you see, you go to Kaduna, places like Nasarawa, where you have a good number of the minority Christians live. This is their favorite inebriating stuff. And while some of us in those days would consume the green bottle, these guys have no interest in green bottle. This is their own, and this is what they consume. But social problems, lack of sufficient solvency, lack of money, put simply, has pushed more and more people who want to approach some level of highness to go for Burukutu because they can't afford the beer prices are constantly going up because government continues to tax it. So, and they can't afford beer, so they would rather go for Burukutu. It's still you still achieve your aim of being high by taking Burukutu. You can't blame them. Some these people in Benue, some of them, some civil servants have not collected salary for months, and they want to feel high. What do? They have to consume the local brew. That is Burukutu. So I know I even long for the day when it will spread to other parts of the country, so that Yoruba people in Lagos and other places will see what they are missing. How those who are our friends in northern Nigeria, what they are benefiting from, that our people in this part of the country
they drink paraga.
Are not used to.
They drink paraga.
No, but paraga and all those synthesized, alcoholic drinks synthesized with herbs. They call it the monkey tail and the rest of them. Those ones, they tell you that if you take it, your spinal area will become more effective. But it's actually alcohol sometimes up to 40% that you are consuming, because a lot of those dry gins have very high alcoholic content, which could compromise your health. But brukutu does not have that level of alcoholic content. And it's just good for the people. Women and men, they drink it liberally, they enjoy it. In fact, I was told that in those days, while the men are fighting, while they are at war, the women will be producing brukutu, and the brukutu, will give the men energy to go on with the fighting. So it has come to stay. It's a good thing. More and more of our people are taking to it rather than drinking beer. They have no choice. If they can't afford beer, they have to go for something cheaper.
Well, according to this report, it used to be associated with the poor and the literate, but of course it has changed because the report says even the rich are now embracing it.
And they've seen what they've been missing. Okay. They've seen what they've been missing. So I don't blame them.
So,
okay, on a lighter note, when you said Burukutu, it's called BKT for short. I thought BKO. BKO
I was scared. I was scared. I thought they've nicknamed it BKO.
Well, I think one of the things that have been said, and it's actually empirically proved, and it's not even difficult to know, that there are some health benefits. Because if you even look at
is it not even possible to sell this thing in bottles? Palm wine, when we were growing up, palm wine was never properly brewed in the manner in which we have it now, brewed and bottled in the manner in which we have it now. But today you can buy a bottle of palm wine already in a green bottle, like the same way you buy Gouda and Trophy. Now, some of our people like Trophy these days. I don't know. So, is it not possible to even be able to take it further?
That's a business
and put
idea.
it?
That's a business idea. So,
in this part of the country, will Lagosians accept it?
If they are properly introduced to it, the same way that TVC cameraman from Ekiti is enjoying it, I'm sure.
And he will sell the ideas to his friends.
Yeah, I'm sure they will enjoy it. Somebody just needs to start. Somebody starts, you'll be amazed at the level of patronage.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yes, so it's been said that there are health benefits. Burukutu contains protein, carbohydrate, and all of that. But I've also seen a report where experts warned about taking it too regularly, that it poses health hazards, like say it can affect fertility, especially for women, can affect maybe the ovulation and all of that. That is if you drink it to excess. So I believe, and it's not only Burukutu, all other local brews, I think that there should be some balance, and who does the orientation? People that know, people should be orientated. But it's something that has come to stay. Probably it will gain more acceptance. Like BKO said, maybe somebody somewhere will think about, okay, let's bring it down south, let's package it well. But again, that caution also must be given.
All right. Because I was going to say, if you say this to those who are addicted to this drink, they will tell you something must kill a man. So.
And even beer, and spirits, they too are injurious to.
Those are even probably worse.
Yes, these are injurious to the body. You consume something with about 40% alcohol content. It's dangerous. And some of us, I used to drink beer. I stopped because.
Oh, you stopped?
Yes, I stopped since my days. I think I stopped in 2010. Stopped drinking beer.
I didn't actually know you stopped, but I knew when we were together. I knew you liked it.
I stopped. People like Bamdele Johnson will explain. In fact, there was a day that I was tempted. I was looking at Bamdele Johnson and others drinking beer. And I was looking, I said, Bamdele can woman. I said, no. I was shocked. Knowing him, I I was shocked that it
I hope he's watching.
I was shocked that it discouraged me. You know, among my friends, that one is as bad as they come. So I was shocked that of all people, he said, no, don't go back. And I was really indebted to him because, you sit with people you are gisting at Lasco feast and everybody is drinking. You are the only one who's not drinking beer. And sometimes you want to drink your own type of spirits and it's not available at such a place. You now feel that you are cheating yourself and you won't be able to flow in the, as Shakespeare said, alcohol stimulates desire. You won't be able to flow because the energy that the Bamdele Johnsons have
BJ's watching you. He will react on Facebook.
Right. The energy that they have imbibed by drinking that green bottle, you have not imbibed it because you chose not to drink. So I was tempted to go back to it, and he said, no, you can't do that. So, and the reason I stopped at that time was it was making me to get fat. The yeast content manifests in lateral expansion of your stomach and all that. So I then stopped it. But at the end of the day, my weight didn't drastically reduce because, as they say, something else must kill a man. So other things made me to even add greater weight.
I don't know if you remember, just a minute, you don't know if you remember, when you turned 40, you were the senior editor of the news then, and we were reporters, and you were celebrating your birthday, and you said something that Mr. Femi and Johnny, a Liberian, who was a pastor, said, we should get close to God. You now said, with people like DJ, it was difficult to stop, something like that. I still remember that picture.
Because they used to take me to all those places.
Thank you, gentlemen, especially for sharing your experiences. Now let's get to Adamawa, where the aftermath of Adamawa rerun governorship election continues to deliver unscripted storylines. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has said the whereabouts of the suspended resident electoral commissioner of Adamawa State, Hudu Ari, remains unknown, after he announced the winner for the supplementary governorship election, while collation was yet to be concluded. After ignoring INEC summons, the commission has asked the police to declare him wanted. On a lighter note, it may be time to create a missing person poster and wait for another 48 hours for results. Bikil.
The INEC rec in Adamawa put himself to shame, put his family to shame, put his state to shame, put his local government, Ningi, in Bauchi State to shame, and even put his calling as a lawyer to shame. I've been waiting for the NBA to tell us that they've taken action against this REC, W-R-E-C-K, because what he did was potentially possible, potentially capable of setting Adamawa ablaze. And at a time when INEC was still smarting from the bad name that he got from not uploading results on the on his what do call the INEC viewing portal, IREF, the public viewing portal. You would have expected anybody associated with INEC to behave responsibly, behave in a manner that does not further damage the name of the commission. But this fellow was clearly had his own agenda. And his agenda was to announce the result, believing that once he did that, no one will be able to undo it. You then go to court to fight. They believe that the Nigerian judiciary is a judiciary of the highest bidder. But I do not agree. I've seen lowly people defeat big people in courts in our country, you know. So, but he must have felt that once he announced the thing, that only a court can reverse that announcement. So that was his plan, because a situation in which we still had 10 local governments to go, and collation was supposed to resume at 11. And by 9 a.m., you had gone to make that hasty announcement. It was really, really shameful. But I'm not surprised, because this is Nigeria. The level of impunity in our country is unbelievable. This fellow was boasting that President Buhari appointed him, you know, kind of telling people here to listen that only the president can stop him, you know. Now, the police have a duty to fish him out. At the end of their investigation, put him on trial. If they don't put this man on trial, many people will conclude that we are not a serious people, because what he has done is an electoral offense. He has to be put on trial like other people. How is his own case less terrible than that of the people they arrested while canvassing for votes, vote buying? You arrest someone for ballot box snatching. It's an electoral offense. What he has done is another form of ballot box snatching. You arrest people for vote buying. It's an electoral offense. What he has committed is even worse than those ones, because at his own high level, he wanted to just simply rig the election. INEC said, okay, stay away from your duty post. Come to Abuja. He refused to go. He refused to go. They made phone calls to him. He didn't pick their calls. He has ignored his bosses since this thing happened. Yes, I know that he will be really ashamed about what's going on. He will prefer to hide his head somewhere, especially given the treatment given that national commissioner from Kebbi State. Somebody who did not. If I was watching that man cry and tears came to my eyes, he did nothing wrong. In fact, I was told that he was one of the people insisting that due process must be followed. And they beat him up in that manner, tore his clothes, and he was bleeding. An old man who had been VC in 2 different universities. Somebody that is seen as a model of integrity. He was disgraced. The treatment that would have been best for Huduari, he was the one who got it. Somehow, Hudu managed to escape all of the worst that happened to him was that person trying to collect a document from his pocket. He managed to evade attention. He managed to evade a few slaps. But they said they do not know where he is. I believe that the police want to fish him out. They will do it in no time, yes.
Oh, Dada, this is not the first time we've witnessed a sordid scenario of electoral officers going rogue. But many have said, because nobody has been punished, could have been the reason why this problem continues to fester.
You can't have a country where impunity is not punished. We can't be rewarding impunity with lethargy. Now, we have to have a country where institutions run seamlessly, you know, where men don't tamper with institutions. And the reason is this. Institutions often outlive men. Who created the EFCC? Former President Obasanjo. But I call him former President Obasanjo because EFCC is an institution. ICPC. Institutions have been created by men in power by the virtue of the office they hold. But those institutions continue, survive them. Even if those men die, institutions continue. Now, why am I saying this? A man tampered with the process for whatever reason. But whatever reason he had was an ignoble one. Okay. He did this, and they suspended and all of that, and he somehow disappeared, and we hear that no one knows his whereabouts. It's unacceptable. To me, it's unacceptable. If there is a genuine intention to bring this man to book, then he will be fished out and arrested. Where is he hiding? His village or where? Or has he traveled out of the country? Wherever he is, he must be brought to book because what he did is totally unacceptable. It's not something that should be done in a civilized society. So we can't just sit helpless and say, okay, Yusuf Ali, nobody knows his whereabouts. No, let's get him.
All right. Welcome back to Journalist Hangout on Sunday, and I have been hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Paul Dada. We're taking a look at the aftermath of Adamawa rerun governorship election. Mikhail, so, should we as a country revisit the idea of the president getting involved in the appointment of national commissioners and resident electoral commissioners? Because many have said, some stakeholders have said, in appointing these personalities, they need to apply and go through rigorous screening.
Yes, I think I may agree to an amendment of the law to take away the power of the president to appoint the INEC chairman. But the president should be able to nominate, the executive should be able to nominate resident electoral commissioners. But once he has nominated, the judiciary has the power to screen. But what we see is that these people don't do any serious screening. They just tell them to come, and they don't. Look at one woman was stopped the other day only because the civil society said no. So we have National Assembly members who are too partisan, too loyal to their parties, to the point that if someone is a strong party person, a strong party man, and he gets appointed for a job of resident electoral commissioner or national commissioner, the partisan members of the National Assembly will not put the country first. They will put the party first and go ahead to clear such a person. It has to stop. What is it? How many times do you have to do this kind of work, to screen people thoroughly? They don't do that so many times. So why can't you, on the few occasions that you are required to screen people, why can't you do it diligently with the fear of God and with the interest of the nation at heart? Because I can tell you, people have told me that if this Huduari had been thoroughly screened, what happened would not have happened, because it would not even have scaled the screening obstacle. But that's not what they just. And then, of course, the underground lobbying that goes with this whole thing. We just ensure that, okay, once they come, they just let them go. Or sometimes they don't want to offend the president because the president has done the appointment. Let's not do anything that will make the president angry. And you are not, if you don't want to make the president angry, you have no job being a lawmaker because you are supposed to oversight the president. Look at what we have today. We have too many debts to repay. How can the country spend about 86% of its revenue on debt servicing? And it's because the quantum of debt is huge. Therefore, you have to pay those debts in dollars. The payment is denominated in foreign currency. You have to pay. So you just find that, and your revenue that comes in naira form, by the time it gets converted to dollars, it looks like you have not even made anything. Yeah. So this is the thing. They knew at that time that they were indulging the executive too much, providing all those loans. Every time the executive wanted loans, which was a cheap way of looking for money, you just agree. Now, in their hearts, a lot of them have regrets. Because I spoke with a high-ranking person who said, we shouldn't have allowed this to happen, that under the Tinubu presidency, we have to discourage this idea of taking loans. Even if you don't discourage, the creditor will discourage you when he refuses to give you. We've seen that now with China. who turned down one of our requests recently. So it just, if you are National Assembly, do your job. When you are required to screen people, screen them thoroughly. Don't allow brigands to appropriate appointive positions. I mean, it's not right. At the end of the day, we all suffer. So they need to do their job well. Yes, I agree that we could get to that point where, okay, the National Assembly can choose the, what was it called? The INEC chairman. And it can be made even competitive. That people can apply and all that. In Mexico, the job of Inspector General of Police is competitive. Even there was a state in Mexico where a woman competed and she won. She became, and she has no background as a police officer. And she became the, yes. So some of these things can be made far more competitive than we are seeing, which will enable us to get the very best. You know,
So, Paul Dada, as scary as the situation is, INEC has off-cycle elections to conduct. For you, how much more does the electoral umpire has to do?
Well, let's also give it to INEC. INEC did very well with off-cycle elections, and they improved. Not everybody in INEC is as bad as Harry. So we've had recs that quit themselves, you know, and did very, very well. Also, this last election, we had recs in states that did not usurp the powers of the collation officers. And
I think this is the first time, really.
Yes. So this is a problem that we are seeing. It's unprecedented. So what I would just say is that as it has happened, it means that we need to checkmate that from happening. And that is why I actually align with the position of PKO. We need to do, the National Assembly has to up its game, especially in screening. You know, this the same attitude they also show when they are screening ministerial nominees.
You just
take a bow and go. What does that mean? And even I would even prefer a situation where the ministerial nominee, there's a portfolio attached to the person. For example, if you say it's going to be a minister of education, there may now be a Senate committee.
Let's judge him on that.
Exactly. If it's just a committee, not the whole, drills him on that, in that area. If it's for health, let him be drilled. So it's serious business. Because when you put people in position, it's a position of trust. The destiny, the lives of people are committed to that, can be decided even by that person in position. So it's like we play too much with serious things in this country, and we must make sure that we stop all of that.
All right, moving on. If you thought the world of politics was already full of drama, buckle up because it's about to get even more interesting. The coalition of members-elect of the House of Representatives and the minority parties has finally declared its bid for the office of the Speaker in the 10th National Assembly. Meanwhile, no fewer than 5 former governors are in the race for the Senate presidency. They include Orji Uzor Kalu, Godswill Akpabio, David Umahi, Adams Oshiomhole, and Abdulaziz Yari. Will these opposition reps-elect be able to topple the current leadership led by the ruling APC, or will a former governor sweep in and steal the show at the Senate? BQ, how interesting does this get?
Well, this, at this time, I can understand why the opposition reps-elect are speaking in this manner. APC, after the rerun elections, lost its majority. So what APC has now, 178 House of Reps members, and the opposition put together has 182. Out of this 182, PDP has 105. So if we add 178 with 182, that's 360. So APC clearly fell short of having a majority in the National Assembly by 6 members. And that is why when we talk about the February 25 election, that the February 25 election was an election like no other. You know, it was on that day that this election was conducted. Yes. And it was largely, very largely free and fair. That's why a lot of these people could emerge. There was even a 30-year-old student union leader in Sokoto State who defeated somebody who had been the National Assembly for 3 terms. Those things don't happen like that now. Not really. Those things don't happen in an election characterized by vote rigging, by ballot rigging and all that. Now, what we didn't see before, PDP would not just have majority. They would even have 2/3 majority. Other parties would only take the crumbs. But you can imagine Labour Party alone had 34 House of Reps members. That's significant. And we now have opposition, 7 different parties. You know? That also adds to the character of the February 25 election, that it produced, for the first time in our history, 8 political parties. 8 political parties got people elected into the National Assembly. It has never happened like that. At no time did we have up to 8 political parties, you know, have their members elected into the National Assembly. Now, of course, they can feel that this is a strength, because whether we like it or not, it's a strength. It means that APC can zone those positions. But you have to talk to these people because they are in the majority. You lost the majority.
Exactly.
It's significant because this is also something that we were not seeing before. Check previous elections. Those of them saying this is the worst election in Nigerian history. The ruling party has lost the majority. Ruling party that used to enjoy 2/3 majority has even lost majority. Is that not something that should tell you that, look, this election was not like previous elections? It was much better, especially the February 25 election. I'm not talking about the governorship election, because some of the things that I saw in the governorship election, I do not even want to talk about. But that election has delivered to us something that we never had before. The opposition constituting the majority. We've heard of different people who want to contest in the House of Reps. The young man who is a lawmaker from Panshin Kanken Kanam. That is Gagdi, 41-year-olds. Something like a bridge between the old and the young. Something that may perhaps make some of our the little boys on Twitter who are abusing everybody, something that will probably even make them happy. A young man is pushing hard. He wants to contest. And we have Betara, the chairman of House of Reps Committee on Appropriation. We have, though Betara's case may well be decided by the fact that he is from Borno, and the president, vice president-elect, is also from Borno. So people will ask the question, must it even go to the Northeast in the first place? If we are talking about fairness, equity, and justice, it should not even go to the Northeast, not to talk of going to someone from the same state as the number 2 man. Number 2 man and number 4 man from the same state. I don't think we've reached a point where that can be permitted to happen. So we have him, we have Wase, we have who else that is interested from the
Abbas, I forgot his name.
I don't know whether the man from
they are
Kwara,
dropping his name.
I don't know whether he's still in the race from Kwara, you know. But this reality will make the race very, very keen. Opposition members now in the House of Reps, they become far more important than in previous years because you have to walk through them. There are plenty of votes there. You have to reach out to them. You have to convince them. You cannot win simply by the decision of your party. Exactly. You know, in the past, they could just come together and say, okay, they have the majority, and this one is decided by a simple majority. You know? Yes, the simple majority. But they cannot even win now unless they work with other people. So it's not when they are saying that they have the opposition has the majority and they are thinking of coming together, they must have seen that, yes, they have the strength. But you and I know that it will be difficult for them to come together in that way. Voting in this kind of election is usually bipartisan. People from ADC will probably even support APC. Because we saw during the election, some APC members actually supported the APC in the presidential election. So it will be largely bipartisan, and the ranks of the opposition House of Reps members will certainly be broken in the course of the election. And I know that that will happen. But they are already now trying to draw attention to themselves, getting people to realize that, look, this time around, you cannot joke with us. We have the strength.
All right, Paul Dada. Now, talking about the spread of seats among political parties, how will this spread impact on achievement of unanimity?
Take the question again.
Talking about the spread of seats among political parties, yes. How will this spread impact on achievements of unanimity? Well,
you know, when it comes to the legislative business, you can't jettison partisanship totally. But I think national interest always has to override partisan politics. For example, if you are bringing bills, there should be bills that satisfy Nigerians, not just, what's it called now? Not just your party. You understand? What I expect people to do is that the lawmakers, I expect them to be more interested in nationalism. Of course, the more the merrier. For me, I'm even happy that you have this situation. I'm very happy that you have more parties in the National Assembly, especially in the House of Reps. So people can always come with different ideas and different ideologies. And then, in the interest of common good, okay, you subject your ideology, you know, to the common good. I think it's very good.
Mikio, 12 former governors of both the APC and PDP won their senatorial elections for the 10th Senate.
Yes. Some had been, you know, when we talk about former governors, they are not just governors who left the scene or who are just about to leave the scene. A good number of the governors about to leave the scene couldn't win this last National Assembly election. I think about 7 of them lost. People like Governor of Plateau, he lost. Governor of Taraba, he lost. So many of them, or 7 of them. Again, that is a first. In the past, they would just steamroll they would just manipulate the process and ensure that they get there. But this time around, a good number of them didn't succeed. Remember, even Unamani could not get back to the house from Enugu State. Now, among those seeking to become Senate President, Adams Oshiomhole is mentioned, but Adams Oshiomhole will be a first-timer.
Yeah.
And I know that by the House, by the Senate rule, the first timer is not considered for such a position. People point to what Akpabio managed to do. Akpabio was a first timer when they made him majority leader of the, minority leader. Minority leader, you know. But that's just one of the principal offices. But for Senate President, I don't think that the tradition is for someone coming in for the first time to become Senate President. So it's going to be tough for Adams and Shomale. But there are still a good number of them who are interested, at least 5 of them. Ojus Okalu, Akpabio, Umahi. Yari too is a first timer. Although he had been in the House of Reps before, but he's a first time senator. It's going to be tough for him. But Senator Barau from Kano is a ranking senator. He has suddenly shown interest in the thing. At a point when people are saying, oh, he should go to the southeast, he should go to the south-south, we've seen someone from the northwest, and a very powerful senator for that matter, saying, look, it is our turn, our local. So the northwest is showing an interest in the town that could really alter the dynamics, except the party can put his foot down and say, look, we are zoning this to this particular zone. I was reading Theodore Oji, former governor of Abia, and was advising the APC to zone without hesitation. I hope that once Asiwaju resumes, once he returns from France, hopefully this week, they will just speed up work on this whole thing and let everyone know where these positions, all these principal officer positions are going to be zoned. Otherwise, the longer it takes, the more difficult it will be for them to achieve unanimity. Because once people have spent money and they can see that they've garnered a tremendous support, if the party now comes so late in the day and says, no, it's not, they will not listen. It will just, the Bukola Saraki scenario will just happen again, where he will now defeat the candidate of his party. So it's best for them to decide now, where are you zoning those positions to, you know? And they have to also be conscious of plurality as a country. I've heard people say, look, if we are not careful, we could have a situation in which the first 4 positions could go to Muslims.
Yeah.
And that's not what people want to see. I don't think that even the framers of our constitution and the federal character principle had this kind of scenario in mind. I don't think it's good for us to allow that to happen.
Oh, Dada.
Yeah. The earlier this is settled, the better. We heard that after Ramadan, decision will be taken. Ramadan is over, Salah is over. So they had better work on this. And one of the advantages is that once decision is taken, for example, if it is zoned to a particular, or micro-zone to a particular part of the country, every other person will just drop. It will restrict the number of contenders. You know, it won't just be.
The list will be more manageable.
Exactly. This one's coming from this zone. That one's coming from this zone. And I think it was. I think many of them will expect the party decision. I think Senator Barau himself said, yes, if the party says no to me, no problem. And I think I like that spirit. If the party, I will abide by what the decision of the party. It's very important to avoid a situation where you have people from the same religion occupying the top spots. And I know people there have been warnings. You heard Salisu, Salisu, the APC vice.
Saliu Lukman.
Saliu Lukman saying that those that are trying to contest, that are vying for the position in the north, they should, what are they doing? I think I reason with him. You know, you can't have president Muslim, VP Muslim, and then Senate President Muslim.
And House of Reps.
House of Reps. And of course, the House of Reps Speaker is likely to be a Muslim.
No, because even it's been touted that that will go to North Central.
Fine, and of course,
and when it goes to North Central, some of the people that we are hearing, those who are showing interest, they are Muslims.
Okay, Muslims.
They are Muslim. Was a Gadi, and the rest of it, they are Muslims. So they have to be really.
So we need to find that balance. We need to find that balance, especially at a time like this, where some people are.
So they are going to say, "We told you, we warned you." You know, they will say Islamization of Nigeria has begun.
Especially people who are disgruntled, who are still not, who are still thinking that the election was not won.
It will be insensitive.
Yes.
To let that happen. You know, it will be insensitive to let that happen. I don't think this time Wase and Wajabe Amila are both Muslim.
Yeah.
But people didn't look in that direction at that time because, look, we had the Senate, the Vice President is Christian. You know, people didn't talk about the fact that both Wase and Wajabe were Muslim. But not at this time. At this time, people are ready, they are waiting, they want to see what will happen. And every position now, whether it's the chief of staff or this, they want to see who they are bringing.
Exactly. And the opposition is actually getting bolder. This, if you don't learn from history, that's why the negative part of history can repeat itself. The Seraki situation, where you had an APC Senate President and a PDP Deputy Senate President.
Once they agree to work together, there's nothing in the politics. Because that one was not even, they emerged in spite of the party. And because they emerged in spite of the party, he was headhunting supporters across party lines.
Exactly.
He never presented himself as the APC candidate, so he was going around the parties. And by the time he had the supporters, one of the conditions for the PDP to give him that support was that he should give them a deputy. And they agreed to give him a deputy Senate president. I think one other thing that strikes me, and I think is something that we need to do something about it, is the fact that out of the 109 senators, 72 are freshers. The rate of turnover of lawmakers is too high in Nigeria, whether for House of Reps or for Senate. And to groom lawmakers in the best practices of lawmaking is a grueling, time-consuming affair. Some of them will go abroad for training and all that. And once an electoral cycle comes, we just send them packing. We've lost some very good lawmakers that naturally should still be there and helping us with the business of lawmaking. We've lost them. Now we are bringing 72 members who are new. Those ones will still just start learning the ropes. The governors are usually targeting National Assembly, and you will find that within a short time, a governor has quarreled with a federal lawmaker, especially senators. They are always targeting their position. So that's why you have this high rate of turnover. But in the U.S., that's not what we see. U.S. Senator Robert C. Byrd spent 51 years in the Senate. 51 years, 5 months, 26 days in the Senate. Then Daniel K. Inouye spent 49 years and 11 months. Another senator, Patrick J. Leahy, they talk about the Leahy law, upon which they refused to sell weapons to Nigeria. Yeah. The man who came up with that law, Patrick J. Leahy, spent 48 years in the U.S. Senate. There is a current senator now, Mitch McConnell,
Yeah.
He's in his 38th year and he's still in the Senate. But in our own case, even if he has done 4 terms, we already say, 4 terms, so you know,
But okay, what if the lawmaker is not performing?
No one is saying that you should keep someone who is not performing. I'm just looking at the larger picture. No one can tell me that 72 senators didn't perform. I know some senators that we lost that would have been very useful. One of them was this senator that the governor of Ondo State, Ekiti State.
Yes, made the one that is taking the job for free.
Yes.
The economic advisor.
Yes, fantastic senator. You know, and we have so many people like that. Look at Kabir Marafa, for example. Kabir Marafa knows the job.
Exactly.
But Kabir Marafa was defeated by a PDP senatorial aspirant in Zamfara this time.
I think it's,
so
it's about our culture.
While you react to that, when people say former governors are targeting the Red Chamber, or rather the Red Chamber is gradually becoming a retirement home for former governors, does it even matter?
No, it matters. But let me quickly react to what, if I come to your question. You know, I think it's also the orientation, the poor orientation of voters. You know, some people they don't even know who the senators are, who the lawmakers are. They just vote for a party. There's a place in Lagos.
That's one leg of it. But a lot of them didn't even...
there's a place in Lagos where there was no assembly representative for a particular party. And he won in that place. I mean, that party won. But there was no... I think it was a ward or a polling... There was no...
candidate.
No candidate.
Well, you happen in Kano too. NNPP didn't have a candidate, but people voted.
Now, that you are a governor, that you even succeeded as a governor, does not mean you will be a very good legislator. That is the truth. That you succeeded as a governor does not mean you will be a good... I think sometimes it's just about personal interest. If the senator in that place, from your state, is good enough, and the people are satisfied with him, is performing, I think what a governor who is that person is to support him. People just think that the only way they can be relevant in the country is to hold political position. Nobody can hold position forever. If you are a governor, of course, a governor has 2 terms to serve, right? But a legislator does not have term limits. Now, if the legislator from your state is doing well, is making sterling contributions in the National Assembly, and people are satisfied with him, you don't have any business replacing him. But then sometimes people just think that, well, maybe people are used to being in office, you know. They are no longer used to life outside office. They have been governor for 8 years. So you become an ex-governor. So how the paraphernalia of power and that horror of, it's not supposed to be like that.
You know, if you get into the Senate, that prefix is forever.
Senator.
Yes, forever you'll be called a senator.
So, Bikio, quickly before we go, let me quote the Director General of the National Institute of Legislative Studies, Professor Abubakar Suleiman, who said there must be a way to stop this because former governors do not add value to what legislators do. Do you agree?
No. That's a generalized statement. You can't tell me, for example, that the former deputy governor of Abia, Abaribe. You can't tell me that Abaribe is not adding value. Abaribe is one of the most outspoken people on the floor.
That's true.
You know? So it's not good to simply dismiss all of them that they are not going to add value. And I know that Oshomole will add value. Everything points to Oshomole. Yeah, he's a former governor. Everything points to the fact that he will add value there. I'm confident.
He will.
Because as Labour leader, he has the experience that others don't have. He's been in government as governor. He's been party chairman. He has varied experiences that I'm sure the Senate will benefit from, especially when it comes to negotiating and all that. And even, what's his name? When he was in the Senate, the Minister of Labour.
Okay, Godswill Akpabio.
You cannot say that it does not add value or that it did not add value. So there are some of them. It's not a bad thing for them to get into the Senate. I really don't even agree that it's a retirement home for them, because what they are doing is still politicking, they are still playing politics, they are still working. So if they were simply lounging in their houses, spreading their legs and taking in fresh air, that's when you can say retirement. They are still working. They are in committees, they are heading committees. This man was made chairman of the committee on capital markets, the former governor of Ogun State, Amosun.
Yeah.
You know, so they are still working, they are still playing real politics. So there's nothing like retirement at all.
All right, so the final lap of the program. The recent killings in Benue, Kaduna, and Plateau states have once again highlighted the urgent need for effective security measures in Nigeria. The Evangelical Church Winning All has expressed shock over the killing of 472 persons in 3 states of Benue, Kaduna, and Plateau by terrorists in 1 month. Meanwhile, the Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arunwa, says no fewer than 214 persons were killed in violent attacks, 746 citizens were kidnapped, while 89 terrorists were killed during engagement with security forces in the state in the last 3 months.
Oh, it's very sad. It's actually very sad that it's happening. At some point, we had a lull or a reduction in the spate of killings, but for now, it seems to be escalating a bit. But what I want to say is that President Buhari may have 37 days left, but he's still the president. He's still the president until he hands over power on May 29. So this is not a time for him to rest. It's not time. I know that they're already packing. You know, I read what, for example, what Federation said that is already packing and picking files and all of that. So I know that will be happening now. But he's still the president, and I think that he should make sure that this thing is nipping the bud, doesn't become worse. I'm happy that they are still working. The federal government is still working. We hear that they are increasing salaries. They started paying 40%. We've heard that even teachers that were hold and all of that, they are paying them. Well, that means it's still the government is working. So let them work in this area, because this is very, very, very important. It is not enough for the DHQ, though it's good, to assure us that no problem, we're in control and all of that. But there are some trouble states, like Benue, Kaduna, Plateau you mentioned, even the FCT. We have to make sure that these things don't escalate. Then intelligence. We've talked about intelligence gathering. We must use intelligence, effectively. I'm sure lots of information they are getting. And we don't also want a situation where, even when they get intelligence reports, we'll start hearing excuses that they were not acted upon. So it remains a few days, that's 7 days for the president to hand over, but he's still the president and the commander-in-chief of armed forces, and this cannot just continue. All
right, BKO, one significant thing about these 3 states is these states have new governors. So we're hoping fresh start, fresh ideas on how to put a stop to this.
Yes, if the methods used by their predecessors have clearly not produced results, then they have to look inwards. They have to think of how best to address this problem, because to kill 472 persons in 1 month across those 3 states is unacceptable. The rate at which they kill people in our country, they don't kill people even in Syria like that. Doesn't happen. Even in war-torn countries, they don't waste people's lives like this. It's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable. 8 persons get killed in the U.S., We will be the ones shouting that, oh, somebody, a terrorist carried gun and killed people in the U.S. How many people are we talking about? Just 3 states in our country, 472 lives lost to bandits and terrorists. There is no country in the world where people get killed like that. We are not talking about the entire country. We are talking about just 3 states. And they're taking 472 lives. But if a crazed individual runs into a school and he kills about 3 or 4 Americans, we'll be happy to be talking about it. That, oh, the Senna climb that you talk about, they killed people the other day. You know, there was a minister who was even comparing what is happening in the U.S. to. If in the U.S., in 1 month, terrorists killed 100 people in 1 month alone, I do not even see. I can't describe how they are going to react to it. We saw people. How many people were killed in France the other day? It was a global mourning. The whole world was mourning. The whole world using the flag, flying the flag of France at half-staff. But in our country, it does not even make news anymore that 100 people are killed in 1 day. Bandits can afford to walk into a community and kill about 100 people in 1 day. We've seen it happen, even in Katsina. More than 120 people killed in 1 day. This same Kano, that Bompai area where they built, what was it called? Barracks. Boko Haram stormed the place, slaughtered policemen. In 1 day, Boko Haram killed more than 100 people in Kano Metropolis, heart of the city, including this Bompai. In 1 day, oh, it's not hinterland, oh, Kano City. Kano City. And these things happen. There's nobody appears to have a solution to it. We will just be waiting for what happens next. Kaduna came up with its own figures that in 3 months, it lost 214 people. In 3 months. Look at that.
746 kidnapped.
And 746 kidnapped. Now, these 3 states, 472 persons in 1 month. It is not, this is not acceptable. And for 3 years, I've been saying that the biggest problem of our country is insecurity. The new administration has to get a perfect hang on this problem. It has to solve this problem. Whichever way it will do it, it has to do it. And it must not waste time in appointing service chiefs and security chiefs regularly. It has to come quickly. It has to do its findings and appoint the right people. And when it is time to move them on, there should be no delay. Because when you fail to move service chiefs on, other people, their juniors, will not be happy. They can even sabotage them. We kept the Burates of this world much longer than necessary. Now they are not there. Is the progress not manifest? When was the last time you heard that an army base in Borno State was overrun by bandits, by Boko Haram? When? In those days, even the so-called super camps, they would chase them away. In Dikwa, we had more than 1 army base. They overran all the army bases in the town in 1 day and looted weapons and set ablaze armored tanks and other things that they could find. So, but today we have progress in that area. Security should be a big focal point for the incoming administration. Because when you look at, and you read about the killing of our people, no. It's unacceptable. We cannot allow these killings to continue. We must make up our minds that these killings have to stop. And it takes the right strategy, the right people in place, and it takes a listening government. When people come up with ideas that, look, let's do it this way, you've got to listen and then come up with the right strategy. We can't continue to hemorrhage human lives the way we are hemorrhaging human lives in Nigeria. Nowhere else. I stand to be correct. I don't know anywhere else on the face of the earth where people get killed. Not in wartime, where people get killed the way bandits kill our people when we are not at war.
All right, so before the federal government drops its input, many stakeholders have said the sitting governors, the governors of the state, have to sit up. Now, some of these governors have received open letters on what the citizens would like to see in perhaps the first 100 days in office, and most of this borders on insecurity. How serious does this get? It's
very serious. It's very, very serious. Governors are chief security officers of their states. They are major stakeholders when it comes to security. And especially states that are most troubled. So we need governors that are returning and those who are being elected fresh. They need to just put on their thinking caps and see how to be more innovative. You know, it was innovation of the Southwest governors that brought Amotekun. And we saw the way, we've seen the way Amotekun performed, even without being allowed to wield weapons, you know, the arguments about weapons. But the Southwest governors came together and they decided to start Amotekun. So we want to see more innovations like that. However, let's also understand that the governors, as much as, yes, they have a huge role to play, but they have their limitations because they don't control the police. For example, okay? So it has to be the working together of the governors and the federal authorities. I do hope that a time will come in this country that will get state police. We're talking about, currently we're talking about 472 persons being killed, not 472 chickens being slaughtered for a big feast. You know, it's our fathers, mothers. You know, sometimes let's think like human beings, you know, because we get this kind of report routinely, it seems we are becoming impervious, you know, to these killings. People die. I guess many people don't even bother to read those stories anymore. People died. But those people that died, some of them were fathers. People have become orphans. Many of those people will still under the trauma will be there for years. And that is why everybody that is involved, that should be involved in securing this country, governors, the security agencies, the president, everybody must put on their thinking caps. We must rethink our strategy. We must make sure that we secure this country. In fact, one of the most important responsibilities of any government is to provide security. And any government that cannot secure its subjects has failed. No matter how much it performs in other sectors, that government is a successful failure because insecurity will rubbish whatever achievements we've had. And that is one of the problems that the Buhari government has had. It's not as if Buhari government has failed in all areas. People talk of infrastructure, you know, building of infrastructure. But who remembers infrastructure? When what is happening is that people die, you have people die in hundreds. Security agents, soldiers, policemen are killed and nothing happens. Even those who should secure us are not too secure. So we need to do something about this. This has got to stop. Let us just have peace. Let's have...
Right. Abikio, now for Kaduna State, experts say the security situation does not reflect the fact that Kaduna State has some of the most critical military and police establishments in the country. Now, is this still about architecture, security architecture, or is Kaduna really helpless, or is this still about political will?
It's, you can have military formations all over the place if you do not have the right strategy. Must complement presence of manpower with the right strategy. you don't have the right strategy to deploy even the troops you have. You can have so many troops. If you don't know how to use them, it will still boil down to the same thing. It's such a mortal shame that we have one div in Kaduna, we have Army Depot in Kaduna, we have the Air Force base there, we have even the Nigerian Army Artillery base in Kaduna, I think the one in Kachia. So, in terms of military formation, the one mechanized division is still the highest ranked. It's there in Kaduna. Yet, we can't protect our people. NDA, Nigerian Defense Academy, where our soldiers are trained, is there in Kaduna. They even entered NDA and kidnapped the officers. You know, the Command and Staff College, where middle cadre officers are trained, you know, is in Jaji, in Kaduna State there. We have plenty of military formations. I think the Emir of Zaria even expressed frustration because at the time, there was a time that bandits were targeting the Zaria area to the point that even an hospital, they went into an hospital and kidnapped people suffering from leprosy. You can imagine going to a leprosarium to kidnap people. And the man said, what is going on? Why do we have all of these formations, yet we can't protect our people? So it's not enough to have those formations. You must have the right strategy. And the kind of warfare that these people have brought to our door is the unconventional one. Ours is a conventional army trained in the art of levying conventional war. We have to know that things have changed and begin to adapt. I'm happy now that even in the Northeast, Nigerian Army has adapted itself sufficiently to what Boko Haram does. We now use gun trucks like them. In the past, we were not using gun trucks. We now use gun trucks like Boko Haram. I'm saying this is the truth. I never knew us to use gun trucks before. Now we use gun trucks like them. Sometimes we too will carry the rocket-propelled grenades moving around. When I went to do the documentary in Koshebe, the soldiers that accompanied me, they had rocket-propelled because it gives the enemy some advantage. So we too are using it. Nigerian Army is now even launching ambushes against the enemy. We were not doing that before. So we are killing a lot of them through ambushes. They are doing that in the Northeast now. So the enemy has given us some strategy, or we are adapting to the strategy of the enemy, and we are delivering the right result. Now we want to see that improvement across the country. Everyone talks about the success that we recorded in the Northeast. But we have to transfer that level of success, which has seen so many of the Boko Haram men surrendering and all that. You know, they no longer constitute the threat that they used to constitute. I'm happy to say that. But Katsina, Zamfara, Kaduna, even Kebbi, the Zuru area, and Niger, our people are still being killed as if their lives do not matter. It is clear now that the incoming administration must take this as a big priority, so that our people can remain and become safe. They can go to their farms, harvest their crops, till their fields in peace, so that agriculture contributes tremendously to the GDP. So we need our people to be much more involved in agri-production so that we don't starve. But if these boys say you cannot go into your market, to your farm, who are you to go? You know? A lot of the people who ought to pay back the CBN Anchor Borrowers Fund. They can't pay back because terrorists are not allowing them to access their farms.
Oh, Dada, let me have your final take, especially as we look forward to a new administration on the 29th of May.
Yes, let me also say that we need to improve the capacity of our police to deal with internal security. But I'm also happy, I just hope that the president-elect, when he becomes president, will walk the talk. You know, in his policy document, he talked about setting up forest rangers, you know, force that will comb the forest and probably gather intelligence and deal with insurgents or terrorists. So I hope he walks the talk, and I wish him success.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I've been hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mr. Porter. It's been an interesting 2-hour journey on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. And thank you very much for watching. Also, join us tomorrow for the regular episode at 5 p.m. You can also watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11:30. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.